We're good.
We're good. All right. Getting an echo from you, big guy. You guys can see my screen, right? Somebody's giving me echo. Chris, I'll mute you. All right. So basically, you can look at this too, but this here, kind of like your crash cycle. You have the high put in, lower high. This, I guess, could be described as complacency, perhaps. You get a dump, lower high. This is kind of like your line of support. Lower high, rounds off, dumps down to support, makes a bear flag. The bear flag breaks down, and you get this level. This is kind of like the horseshoe structure that I talk about, but lately I've noticed that this does end up going lower quite often. And if you see right here, so if this is the whole like thing about the horseshoe structure is I noticed personally that when we have a big move like this or like this, I always see the volume, not always, I used to see the volume come in and smash market by, oh, it's going up. And what happens almost always is the people that are smashing market by here, it comes back around and kicks them out again. And you could see it right here. So what happens is people market buy this whole wick up and they put their stop below the low. And then this, or they put it like below this low, it comes back and gets them quite often, actually. And then it reverses. But that's kind of like the horseshoe structure. I can show it to you on different resolutions. Like I like to play it on the 1 minute. But I've noticed that, even on lower resolutions, the whole way up, it's been going lower and then reversing, which creates a bear trap in essence, because as soon as it goes lower, and I've been thinking about this actually, because when the market was bearish, it wasn't going lower. It was going to like the candle close on the 1 minute. So like it would go to where the candle, the bounce closed. So like, let's say this was the 1 minute. This is kind of the level where it would go. And see, it went there, exactly there, faked out, and then took it out. And when it took this out, that's when it reversed, obviously. But let's see. Yeah, just what we were discussing today. I was kind of talking about my fuck up yesterday, and there was a very clear sign for me to be like, okay, I'm wrong. And look at it on the 15 minute. Like for me, that would have been this like, you could kind of like make a trend line here. Well, can do it from up here, or kind of look at it like this. Was it like this? Yeah, I believe that's what it was. Was that how I had it? Let me see. Yeah, so it's basically this whole move down is being held down by this line quite clearly. And you get the bottom. It's very hard to be bullish down here, to be honest. It's a very scary place to long. Obviously, it was very scarce. Not many people probably got that. But once it pops out and breaks above here, now you have to at least entertain the potential of bullishness and stubborn, saying this is going to keep going. It'll get rejected by that trend line, right? And it wicks above and gets rejected. And I go, oh, I'm safe. It's going to go. And let's look at it on a closer resolution, because there were a lot of things going on here. Could even look at it on the 5 minute, because that's where I was looking. But basically, you get, this is kind of, this is a wave here. Something like this. Be like, I guess like this is fine. But as soon as it violates this diagonal here, it's testing this, gets rejected, but it broke it, gets rejected, and then makes a bull flag here. This is a bull flag, right? So just, And once this bull flag breaks out, that's like when I have to be like, fuck, this is gonna go up higher now. Like this trend line is probably done. Is this where it happened? Wait a second. I'm sorry. This is a different one, but this is a good example as well. The trend line that I was looking at was this one. This is throwing me off because I've been using BitMEX's chart, and it looks a little different actually. There's differences there, but let me see if I can recapture what I was talking about, because it was like a very clear. Yeah, this guy right here. This is how I drew it. So this is BitMEX. This is the trend line holding the move down. It makes the bull flag here, breaks above, retests it once, and goes like this should have been a sign. Retest it again. On this retest, I should be longing, really. I should be longing here. And I was stubborn. And I think I was in DMs with Cardi, and he was like, you know, you could long, right? And I'm like, I can't. I can't. That's when being stubborn is like I was too convinced that I was right, and unwilling to acknowledge the reality, because the thing is, as I'm trading it and watching it, I have these lines drawn and I'm watching stuff play out. And each time it retests, I'm thinking this is the time it's going to break. But like 1, 2, 3, I mean, like at some point it tested it many times. You have to make it, you know, you have to be smart. So, you know, these things can happen to me. It happens to everybody, but you try to minimize that. And it's something I'm not going to forget, because the way I felt yesterday watching the drawdown happen, it was just like an awful feeling, knowing how fucked up I was, knowing the mistake I made. But I said, you know what? I needed to take the day off. That's why you didn't see me say shit yesterday, because I was just cursing myself all day. I felt terrible. And you know, I said, you know what, let me check out what's going on in the dojo this morning, check out the chart. I wasn't really looking at it, but I figured I'd see what's going on. And we were starting to get some questions. And I'm looking at this move happening. So this structure, people are like, it can be bullish, it could be bearish. This I've seen it go both ways. It's not like the classical Yosh that we talk about at times, which I'll discuss also. This, as it goes up, like if this dumps, I think it's going to stop everybody here out, and it'll probably go like maybe here or here or something. And then depending on what's under here, you don't know, but it's dangerous to try to knife catch. But if you get a reaction up here and it starts to reverse and reclaim this area, like I think it's potentially bullish as well. But let's look at the 15-minute, because there was a good trend line going that you can draw. That's comes from here, I believe. Like it comes from here, hits there, it hits everything really. So it's kind of like this. And I'm watching that trend line and seeing how it's being respected. And then when this candle comes in, I'm saying, oh, we have potential for bearishness, because this is the first time we really kind of went under that line significantly. But if it goes back into here, if it re-enters this, then this is probably a fake out. And now I have to pay attention to long. So when we dial it in even closer, you see this was the fake out. It does your horseshoe and holds, and then breaks back in over the line. But it's like fighting with it. But at the same time, I'm looking at this. So we look at this, right? And you see how ever so slightly this happens right here, right above it? That's where I long. I long that. That's exactly where I long. So on Binance chart, it looks a little different. This was a fake out, but I saw this structure developing here on the outside. And I said, you know what? I'm going to long this, and my stop is like below here. If this doesn't hold, then no. But the RR was very good, and I'm targeting 750. So I entered like at 420. What is this? 420. 420 to, so I'm risking like $70 downside for 350 upside, basically. Right? My math is right. It's a 5R trade. So that's what I saw there. And meanwhile, I had, the downtrend line fake out happened. It didn't bring the reaction I was expecting, because usually if you get a structure where it's just being floated up like this and it breaks, sometimes if it's bearish, you'll get a very bad reaction right away. That didn't happen. It didn't break down. It faked out, it reclaimed, and then it broke this line, made a little structure here. At that point, like, this was tough to catch. I was watching it, and sometimes it's not always going to work, but it happened to work out very nicely. But then have this guy. This is another signal to you. So this holds, and it sat there for a while. I was watching it too. It just sat there. Like, they brought it back down, and it sat here for like 10 minutes. Or not 10 minutes, I'm sorry, 2 minutes. 2 candles. Here it sat too. But when they bring the flags down like to the low and leave them there and they don't break, if the momentum's bullish, they're going to break upwards. So you get another one here. And this one, I actually played this. I played that too. And when it popped up, when it went up in here, this is where I moved my stop up right here, and it broke up, and I just closed it like up here. So that's how I played this move today. But these type of things can happen on, larger time frames, and that's how you can catch bigger moves in a trend. If you're looking for this type of structure, price action. As far as the Yosh, that's like this guy right here. So this is resistance. This is the neckline. You're in between it. How are we going to get through this? We need price action that's going to generate enough liquidity so that when it breaks, it can push through. And this is kind of what that looks like. So as this pumps up, it's now, for the first time, it's over this high. Everybody is thinking about shorting it. They probably are shorting in here. And it just keeps, because both of these daily candles got pushed down. It didn't go below, but it keeps an angle here. And usually this first low doesn't get violated if this is going to break. But as it starts to push, you put like 2 or 3 of these candles together, that's your sign that it's like, when it crosses, it's not a move you ever want to short. You don't want to short this right away. If you see that coming and it breaks out, it doesn't always have to break out. But if it does, do not short that. And some people ask me, like, does this work on the way down? So let's look. Here we go. So this is inverted. I flipped it upside down, right? Pumps. Then, dumps actually. Then you make 3 candle Yosh to the downside, takes off. So, and look where it is in relationship. The same area. So up is down, there's not much of a difference between up and down, guys. It's just price. And price will do the same thing either direction. I've noticed slight differences, but like the way it looks was a little different. But, as far as tops and bottoms, they tend to look a little different sometimes. But for the most part, like, if you flip a chart upside down, you're not going to know if it's going up or down unless you look over here. So when you ask the questions, does that work for downside? Does it work for bearishness or bullishness? The answer is yes. You'll see very similar structures. Another one I've been talking about is the nasty structure, I call it. That's when you get a good volume. This is the key. It has to be good volume and has to be like kind of impulsive. I noticed the commonality is the emotion of the move feels the same. Like, it feels like, holy shit, what's going on? It's not stopping. And when it takes off like that, speaking of which, let's look at BTC. But when it takes off like that, if it stalls and it starts to make like this steep curve, like this, it has to come after this. It always goes below like the point of origin. So see, goes below. So keep an eye. If you're riding along and you see a long wick, and then it doesn't have to even be a long wick. There's usually a wick. But if it starts to curve down, Like you can just get out. I think it's safest just to get out. So we see that one a lot, actually. Here it is. See? Goes below. Always goes below. That one. Let's see what that looked like. That this? Not the same per se, but the same effect. I remember this one actually. Oh, was this that one? And then this one. If you zoom in like to a lower time frame, you'll see it. That's what it did. Like whenever you get a good pump and it starts to curve down like that, fuck that. I'm out. I'm out and I'll wait. That's it. This one I called live. I remember when this one was happening. That was the master crypto days. Yeah, maybe we should get out of this. Yeah, but that's what I got. I got my sandwich. I'm ready to eat, but I figured we'd jump on. Look at what BTC is doing here. It could go either way. I mean, it may not be done, to be honest. The reason why I played short here was this level, like 18.8 was kind of significant. You figured 750 was going to be shorted right here. So it goes right to 750. They shorted it. And then they broke out, took the stops. But I saw the volume. The volume was like very weak on this move. So that's why we played short. But you know what? Like this held. It could break out. So this has the potential to be a complacency area here. But if we start to get above this, like the next breakout will bring us to the 19s. Very likely. It could, I mean, it just might shoot up like a fucking rocket. That's possible. So if it breaks out here, I mean, yeah, I understand you want to be cautious. Like you don't have to go crazy longing, but you also don't want to stand in the way of it in that scenario. If this is to break out, I don't think you want to stand in the way of the next breakout either. So yeah, that's what I see. If you guys have any thoughts, comments, we can discuss. No? I hope this thing's on. I'm on, right? Hello? Everybody's muted, so I don't know if you guys muted yourself.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mic was physically muted.
All right, I think we can kill the recording.
Sure.